men surprised many in terms of their level of intellect, the ability to speak very well as their talents, where their music is concerned and where their skills are concerned. And tonight we are here for another interesting program, another good program, another great program. It's not tooting my own horn, but from what the fans and the listeners say, the programs so far have been really great programs, and I suspect tonight is going to be no different. Let me acknowledge a few folks: Josephine Gabriel and Company Limited. They are the sole distributors of Barefoot Wine, Carlo Rossi, and Twapito Water. They provide complimentary water for the guests here on the In the Spotlight radio show. The Garaway Hotel, they've committed to be the official hotel of the ITS radio show, providing accommodation and breakfast for guests who are unable to return home after the program. Dominica News Online, I really want to thank Tim Durant and his team for the publicity and advertising of the program that they make available through their website. You can go there for all your latest news and for information. I really got some prime advertising today. Thank you for that, Team Durant. The folks at Innovate Multimedia always ensures that we have our flyer that we can share via WhatsApp and the social media to let folks know who the next guest on the program is going to be. And of course, Khadisha St. Louis, who assists me in ensuring that this program is on every Monday night. And to you, the listeners of the program, thank you so much. And the folks who make suggestions for guests, you can do so. Don't forget, you can do so by just touching base with us. You can WhatsApp 275-7565, or you can send an email to inthespotlight.da@gmail.com. And if you're just a fan of the program, I met a lady in town and her son was with her, and he couldn't be more than 13 years old, and she says to me, even before I am ready to listen to the program, he lets me know that they have to listen to the program every Monday night. So thank you for that, and thank you everyone for the encouragement. I do this not for any economic returns, absolutely none at all. Whatever I do, it's my own investment to be here. Well, Q95, thank you, Mr. G, for providing me with the time. But everything else, and even Khadisha as well, who gives up her time, and I really do appreciate that. But we do this because we think this program is important to you and important to the public. Stay tuned. We're coming right back. Our guest tonight, I look forward to hearing her story myself. Her name is Jacinta Bannis, and based on the promotions for the program, the comments, the feedback, the likes, I suspect we are all in for a treat. Keep it locked. We're coming right back on the In the Spotlight radio show.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more.
Maybe you liked casting a shadow. So it doesn't get enough.
Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM.
No, because we have any more donkeys if you can call, but one is the other one.
And we are back at 19 minutes past the 8 o'clock hour. Remember, you can view live via my Facebook page. Or if your choice is listening via the radio, that's up to you as well. But we welcome you to join us live on Facebook. I am quite pleased to have this lady with us in studios tonight to share her story with us. We talk about dreams, hopes, and aspirations on this program. Talk about someone having the dream of simply wanting to go to secondary school. Never got it, but got to achieve a lot more later in life. Ladies and gentlemen, my guest tonight is Jacinta Bannis. Jacinta, good night to you, my dear.
Good night, Philip.
How are you?
I'm doing very well. A little bit tired from yesterday's activity, but I'm okay.
Well, congratulations on your new granddaughter.
Grandson.
A grandson?
Yeah.
Grandson. Oh God, Ayola, don't kill me. On your grandson. Is that your first grandchild?
First one I had to wait 62 years. Yeah.
Say that again?
I had to wait 62 years.
You had to wait 62 years to have a grandchild. What's his name?
It's a blessing. His Imani Jesse Daniel Richards.
Imani Jesse Daniel Richards. Okay. All right. And he was baptized
On Saturday.
On Saturday.
Yeah.
And you had a little fete yesterday.
Sunday.
All right. Good stuff. Okay, I got invited to that fete, but alas, like they say, you know. So that certainly puts a smile on your face, though, Jacinta.
Yes, I was smiling, but I'm smiling more now.
You're smiling more now. We're happy to hear that. We're happy to hear that. And he's doing well?
Doing very well. From 4 pounds to 10 pounds now.
He was born at 4 pounds.
Yeah.
Was he a preemie?
Yeah.
He was
8 months.
8 months. Okay. But he's healthy,
a
healthy, bouncing baby boy now.
Too much bounce.
Too much bounce. Thank God for that.
Yeah,
Thank God for that.
Okay.
Jacinta, thank you so much for choosing to be here tonight and choosing to share your story with us. I look forward to hearing your story. I hope you're not going to make me tear up tonight. You don't plan on doing that, right? And you don't plan on doing that either. Let's hope not. All right. Was that?
I said so many things to share.
So many things to share. We will share, my darling. We will share. Jacinta, let us start off by talking a bit about the person. Who you are.
I will describe myself as a very humble, loving individual. I mean, I have a lot of concern for others and for the environment as well. I do not waste any time. Even if there's something to be done, I'll just go for it even without being asked. I have engaged myself in a number of activities in the community that I live and other communities that I worked on the island. But generally, I will say I'm a very humble and social individual.
Your personality traits on your resume says excellent, intuitive communicator, resilient, composed, patient, calm under pressure, driven, motivated with high intellectual curiosity, flexible and realistic, seasoned understanding of both private and public sector working environment, interpersonal savvy, ability to work across cross-functional teams and senior leadership, and very, very importantly, you're a team player.
Yeah.
These are quite some adjectives used to describe an individual, and I get the feeling that this is all true.
It is. Last week I met one of my former co-worker, and he remembered that team spirit. He always says that one thing I always lead by example, and I'm a motivator for the team, but I like working collectively.
So the team player part is very critical, to your
Mm-hmm.
day-to-day workings.
Right. In anything that I do, I try to lead from the front and be an example. Like yesterday, we had no styrofoam at the party.
From January next year.
I'm going early. So I said to them, I'm going early. I'm leading by the front, so I've started it.
So what did you do? Oh, you have no styrofoam there.
No styrofoam.
So you got all 100%.
I got paper plates.
Paper plates. Trust you, Jacinta.
I'm leading for dinner.
That is quite an early lead. That's quite an early dive from the track.
Right, but because this is something that I've been burdened with, the environment. I always tell people we have to take more pride, in our environment, even around my yard. I mean, I call it my road. I clean the road and I said, this is my road. So everybody, like, yes, this morning somebody came to sell fish and he just stuck a bottle in the drain. I said, hello, you need to pick that up and put it back in your truck. And he did that and then he laughed and he went. But I have a thing for the environment because I'm seeing we are not, because we have the concept of the nature isle, but we haven't understood it properly. So, I mean, nature island, but then you turn around, you have all this garbage, you have all this. And these are things that I think communities can handle. Why should my banana peeling come in a trash bag to Rosa? Or my eggshell to Rosa?
Yes.
So I think we have to rethink. Because I'm saying to persons, since 1972, I remember Felix Gregor and these people came about talking year of environmental and shelter. And when 2018 and still yet we haven't grasped it. So I think now we have to really, send the message around, starting for schools and our institution to make sure that we keep the nature island as the nature island.
We'll talk more about that a bit later on,
Okay.
and probably some of the suggestions you may even have. We're starting somewhere with these styrofoams and so on.
I'm happy about that.
And it's a step in the right direction.
Yes.
You seem to be very proud to come from the East. The community of
The wise people came from the East, but I know wise men came from the East. So, we have a lot of wise people coming from this, but I love my village. I love Castleros. Whatever I can do for my community, I go ahead and do it.
Tell me about Castleros.
Oh, Castleros has a Carib name called Anscannery. That's actually the Carib name for Castleros. And first of all, the Castleros estate, there was an area on the estate they used to call Kaineg. That's where the slaves, because the slaves started working on the estate. And when the English people bought the estate, I think the person never came to see the estate, so there was always overseers who are managing the estate. And I worked as a child, I was child labor, but I remember carrying bananas to buy my school books. We go there during the summer and carry bananas, but when it's payday, we don't go. We let our grandmother, pick up the money. So we never, when it's payday, we say, "Boy, we're afraid." And then our grandmother would take the money. But Castleros Estate brought a lot of people from Grande, from Marigot. So you have people speaking Coco, you have people speaking, the Grande twang, or who cannot understand Pato. But it wasn't like they lived in long house. So the estate grew coconut and bananas. And you remember in the 1970s when Afimati came to Castleros? I mean, that was historic. I always say that was my learning institution. I would go to the cooperative meeting. I wasn't a member, but because they were bringing so many prominent people to Castleros, I mean, every night there was something I would go. And for me, it was a learning experience. I learned so much. I used to say that was my like university within the community. So the estate itself was the most viable economic venture for the community. So you see people walking on early morning, to the estate, but persons who work get to send their children to school, and to an income basically. But when it broke up, it was a different era.
What other than that, what's the highlight of Castleros? If I come to Castleros, what am I coming to?
I will tell you, things have changed a bit. You have different generations. Because in the 70s, that's the time I got, immersed in community activity. I mean, you'd come to Castleros, first of all, the parish feast was something that brought everybody around Dominica. Sometimes I tell people, Purple Thursday wasn't it, it was Castleros on August Monday. You'd have loads of people coming to the Castleros beach. Although we have the Atlantic Sea, but people just love coming there. I don't know if the island that attracts them a lot, but they love coming to Castleros during the feast. and persons were very welcoming. When the feast is coming up, everybody prepares, they cook, but it's different today. People come, they never visit a home, you know. They don't come for the church service, they come for the big twalala, the band and stuff. And well, Castle Bruce has produced a number of prominent persons, you know, they're all over the world. And it's just a nice place, you know, a nice ambience, a nice drive. So right now, I just tell people, Castle Bruce is one of the safe haven, the safest area right now in Dominica for anything. I don't know what will happen tomorrow, but for now, because our roads are, I mean, the roads are a bit terrible, but the drive to town is not that bad. It takes you about 45 minutes to come into Roseau. But Castle Bruce was a very welcoming. During my early stage, people were welcoming. And then there was a point we had about more than 12 cooperatives in Castle Bruce. So it was I would say the land of the cooperatives in Castle Bruce at one point. So people were always busy. You never saw a person sitting by the roadside like today. Today, you see young men, 10 o'clock, with a quarter bottle, how they call it, of rum, sitting by the roadside. When I was growing up, the young men would go to their farms, they would go to work. And in the afternoon, you know, they would take a walk down to Google. Google is the center of, it's the place that I love, the center of everything in Castle Bruce. Relationships are born there, they also die there. So every afternoon people dress, you know, you put your best and you go down to Google. That was a place you get ice cream, you get coconut, you get everything. But today if you go to Google now, there's not much. Okay. So things have changed and I miss, you know, I'm glad I grew up in the 70s because I can talk about a lot of things that are not present today, which I'd like to see come back, but it's another generation. I don't know how we're going to mobilize them, you know, to get them to take ownership of the community. I think we took ownership of the community when we were growing up. We did things for ourselves. We didn't wait for persons. And the kudme was a very important aspect of community life. You build in a house, you do in your garden. Even when you had a baby, persons would come to your house they would cook, they would clean, and after 21 days they say, okay, you can do your work. But they would come to help. Wow. You wouldn't have to go out and to wash, clean, scrub. You had persons coming into your house, cleaning and taking care of your children. Even for funerals, that has changed. When somebody died, it was a community event. People would go to the home, they would bring stuff to the home. They would bring food, they would cook, the men would be there doing the coffin. But since we have what we call funeral homes, things have changed. A person dies and nobody visits the home except they come to church for the happy hour and stuff like that. So there are something that were very good during my growing years, and now I'm seeing a big change, you know, with that.
Let us talk about your roots in Castle Bruce. We know the Bannis name is a very prominent name, permanent last name in the community of Castle Bruce. Let us talk about the roots.
It's very interesting. Last year I organized a Bannis reconnection. So the Bannis is from Pebush, and the Bannis that lives in Grand Fond and Castle Bruce. So we went to the first August Monday, we went to Pebush and we had a good time. And then Boxing Day, Pebush and Grand Fond came to Castle Bruce. But it's something that we'll have to repeat maybe every 2 years. The Bannis in Castle Bruce, their roots came from Pebush. There was one man, they said he came on a merry-go-round, I don't know what that is, but something that they had fun with. And he never left, and his name was Bobby Bannis, and he had, I think, I checked 18, but somebody told me he had 22 children.
Wow.
So that's why the Bannises in Castle Bruce are much more than those in Pebush, because in Pebush they were, the man had about 7 or so kids, but the one in Castle Bruce, Bobby, he had about 22 children, so they were very large families. Like my grandmother probably had about 10, but she had about maybe 16 pregnancies. Oh. So they were very large families at that time. So you have the Bannises in Pebush, and they had, when I met a guy called Nathan Bannis, I told him about the tradition. There was a tradition where the Bannises from Pebush would come to Castle Bruce, and then Castle Bruce go up to Pebush. And I tried first to do it, but when I said it wasn't working, I just decided to go on my own and do it. And it was very successful, you know. And even today, when I walk in town, somebody will call me and I say, where did I meet you? They said, when you came to Peebush. So now I'm knowing the Bannises in Peebush. And the Bannises in Peebush are getting to know the Bannises in Castlebrooks. So, but then when I was asking about the whole tradition, somebody said either they came from South Africa to the United States, and then the two brothers came, but one stayed in Peebush and one came to Castlebrooks. So that's why Castlebrooks has the Bannis. So,
let us talk about your immediate family and.
Okay, my mom, Florida Bannis. If you read Tanti Chronicles, you'll see, sometimes she has some good jokes. So that's my mother. She was a seamstress. I mean, she could do everything. I mean, she could sew everything. Just ask her. And there was a lady who had very big breasts and she couldn't get bra. So my mom would make her a bra. She made bras, so she would make her a bra. And so she sewed everything. Just show her catalog and tell her, you want your dress like that. So every time I tell her, lady, if it was in this time, you'll be making lots of money. Because to make a skirt now is almost $50. And at that time, my mother was only charging $5 for a dress, to make a dress. And she would make them really nice. What was very creative with my mom, after, if she makes a dress, later on she takes it to make a curtain. Then next week you come and sit in a cushion. And next week you come and sit in a hat. so I learned a lot about recycling from my mother. So she recycled a lot of things, and she was a great cook. Right now, I mean, she is not, she's a little timeless, but everything she wants to talk about food, about cooking. And then, like for the fair, she would cook for the fair. She would cook for like food meals and stuff like that. And one thing she liked to visit. I mean, other persons have died very close to my mom. Like she was there with them, in the last hour. So she'd always visit. She would give us so much. She's going to take care of the sick. I mean, we have to fend and do for ourselves. But my mother, she never neglected us. She always, took care of us. I mean, made us our clothes, make sure there was food. And I mean, she cooks well. And the neighbors can tell you, she cooks. And she cooks simple food. And I think that's something I learned from her. She cooks simple food, but not big food, but simple food, provision, fish, and it was good. So she was a very good cook.
Just creative.
And yes, and she kept us in the faith, My mother sang in the choir for almost maybe 50 years.
What religion?
Catholic. So she kept us in the faith, and I'm a strong Catholic.
You're a strong Catholic.
Very strong Catholic.
Okay.
So I understand my faith and I love my faith. So that's my mother. My father was a policeman. So but I know policemen really did.
You notice what I said, right? I said,
My brother, he's dead right now. So my father was a policeman, so he worked in various communities. I remember my mother said, when she was pregnant, she had to take a boat to go and look for my father, so she could get money to take care of me, to buy her eggs and stuff like that. But in those days, it was difficult to travel. And imagine you have to travel by boat. So I never lived with my father per se, but I would see my father. So I see my father probably twice a year. But once, when I was about 6, I lived with my father and his wife. And I never saw my father for the whole year, My father would come in the night and leave in the morning. So by the time he comes, I never saw him for the year because at that time transportation was an issue, you're traveling. My father probably be in Point Michel, maybe vehicles carrying me to different areas. So, but we had a nice relationship up to a certain point. Then after that, something happened, but I still love him. So I love him until he died. Yeah. So as I say, anybody love you, so you just, radiate your love towards these people. I also probably a stepfather. He's also dead. He was a fisherman, so today when people talk about fish, I say, you make a river fish, but there is a lot of fish growing up. So we have a lot of fish and provision and stuff like that. So that's my immediate family in terms of my biological and step father. And we were 3 children. I have a sister, Carmen Hodge, my brother Nereus Bannis, and myself, Jacinta Bannis. Interestingly, I also my mother really loved the Bannises, so she had 2 children with 2 different Bannises.
Oh my!
So her husband, she got married to was a Bannis, and my father was a Bannis. So my stepfather was also my cousin. So
oh Lord Jesus!
So it was interesting because in rural communities like that, you tend to marry, close people, because during those days there wasn't transportation, so you probably stayed, within your immediate area and settled down. So And then my sister and my brother, you know, we grew up together until we left. Everybody went their separate ways, but we still connect with each other.
Quite interesting. Tell me the lessons that you learned from all the little time you spent with your father, your stepfather, and also more so from your mom.
To be economical, you know, and to be independent. That was the thing I learned from my mom. My mother, she would say, she was asking him for money. She's doing her stuff. My mother would sew, my mother would make popcorn, my mother would make yoga, my mother, she made things to sustain herself. So she was not a person who was dependent on her husband as such. I mean, he brings money, she'll do what she has to do with it, but she's not going to sit there and wait for him to bring money. My mother created her own money. She could plant a banana, she could plant a dashing, she would kill a snake if it's in the garden. So she could do everything. So I learned that spirit of independence from my mom and how to be thrifty, how to, you know, do not waste stuff. Although I didn't see my father much, but because my father was a policeman, I would boast my father morning, noon and night. You know, you in a rural community, and your father as a policeman is something very important. So I would boast my father. So, I mean, whenever we met, you know, we'd engage. I remember I was in Houston one day, and then this girl said to me, "Girl, I used to like to see your relationship with you and your father, because we would sit and talk and laugh. I could tell my father anything, and my father looked a soft spot. I got his girlfriend almost my age, so we would talk about those things, you know, openly, you know, and, you know, we had fun during those period. My stepfather and I, although we got along, but he used to drink, and that bothered me as a child. I just couldn't take it. I didn't like it at all. But gradually, but I never really, I talked to him about the alcohol, but you're a child, I mean, he's an adult, so it was left up to him.
Would it cause him to misbehave a bit?
The alcohol, yes, he would, you know, he would do stuff that was unnecessary, want to fight, but he couldn't fight with my mom. My mother was a very strong woman. You can't cross the line with her. Even today, we got the rule all the time, you still cannot cross the line with her. If you read Tanti Chronicles, you know, you'll see that the mom is very hot.
Sharp.
So, yeah, but, you know, growing up, I'm happy I had a stepfather, a father and a mother, you know, growing up as a child.
So 3 parents.
Yeah.
I want to just alert the persons who are trying to message me via WhatsApp that you should do so on 275-7565. So if you would like to send me a message relating to the program, you can do so on 275-7565. I do not currently have access to my other number, as this phone is actually being used for the live feed. So 275-7565 if you would like to communicate with me as it relates to the program. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to talk to Jacinta about life growing up. She gave us a little taste earlier on during our earlier conversation, but we're going to talk a bit more about life growing up in Castle Bruce and beyond that. Keep it locked, we're coming right back. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. You can join us live via my Facebook page, or those of you who choose to listen via radio, you can do so. Q95 is also streaming live on the YouTube channel. Keep it locked, we're coming right back.
In the Spotlight on
Ayula is actually messaging me, but she's doing so on this phone, so she does not know. Yes. Okay, Ayula, you can probably hear us because we're off now. So you need to WhatsApp me on 275-7565. Okay, somebody's still WhatsApping. Look at that. Oh my God.
Probably don't have the number, they haven't had it yet, so they're not listening.
I suspect they know what the messages that came, so it's something else.
No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred.
He was telling me to ask you something. I could see her, ask her about she was messaging me here, it's okay.
On Q95 FM radio, every Monday nights from 8 p.m. in the Spotlights.
One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative.
informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining.
Gibbs
Listen
Bannis.
to the Spotlight.
Somebody named Gibbs Bannis is just saying hello to you. We're back. 16 minutes to the 9 o'clock hour. Jacinta Bannis is my guest on the In the Spotlight radio show tonight. We've learned so far that Jacinta is from the community of Castle Bruce, and we know that. We heard about her mom, her dad, her stepdad. I was told to ask you about your siblings and your many siblings from your dad's side.
Oh, that's important. I think they will be listening. Okay.
You have quite a few of them?
Yes, we have quite a few. Some known and some unknown. But I want to say hi to Glenn in Houston, Texas, and his family. So Glenn John Bannis, and I have a sister Bertil from Lapin in Atlanta. I have a brother in Montreal, Jonathan. I had a brother from Grand Coney. I had a brother from Pont Michel, Dale. So that's Dale. He doesn't carry our surname, but
okay.
He's from Pont Michel.
Okay.
Dale Etienne. I don't know if you know Dale.
I do.
Yeah, oh,
Dale
is my brother.
Really?
Yes. So, yeah. So we have quite a few.
I don't think he's in Dominica.
He's in Alaska right now. So, yeah, and there's one in Antigua Neville. So I want to say hello to them.
All right. So let us talk, Jacinta, some more about life growing up in Castle Bruce.
It's interesting. First of all, our house was a very small house. I remember as I was growing up, we slept on the floor, you remember before? And after that, we get a little bigger.
On bedding.
And then one time my sister and I, we had a sofa and then we had a long bench. We said, let's put the long bench and the sofa together so we can sleep. So that was our bed. We had a 1-bedroom house. But we were very happy in our 1-bedroom house because there was always food on the table.
1 bedroom.
1-bedroom house that I grew up in. And that was my great-grandmother's house that my mom stayed in. So that's where she herself was born. So we lived in that for a while. But when I started teaching, I upgraded. So we now have a 2-bedroom house.
Okay.
And then we had kitchen facility and stuff like that. The washroom was outside before you put the washroom outside. So
was the kitchen like a separate piece outside?
No, it was joined to the house.
It
so
was
we had
joined
the
to the
kitchen
house.
and the living room.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. And so we grew up there. Continued living there, we were happy. You have nice carpet and we like to clean.
Linoleum.
So we like to clean, so we always, looking small. Today we have gone to the upper level. We have a 3-bedroom house, 2 washrooms and stuff like that.
Nice. So, the same house?
The same area, the same location.
Okay.
So we broke the old house and then we built another house.
Nice.
So, yeah, so we have moved to the next level.
That's right.
And we are also very resilient. So that's it. And growing up in the community, I saw myself as, when the village would raise a child, that's how I saw myself. Like everybody was, I think people loved me from the time I was little. I'm always respectful, I love people. I was always respectful. You asked me to go and do a message, I can't tell you no. I would go and run the errands. So at that point. But I always loved to teach. That's something that was inside my blood. I always loved to teach. So my mother loves flowers. I mean, we don't have flowers now because most of the land space has been used up. But anybody who would come to Castle Bruce would come to my mom for flower plants. My mother grew a lot of flowers. So the flowers were my students. And any day you would pass, you'd see me for a whip. That's what we saw at school, You go to school and teacher always have a whip. Right now it's kind of forbidden.
I heard that about my daddy.
So I was always talking to the flowers, and if they're not listening to me, I would hit them. So I was always playing teacher.
How would you know if the flowers are not listening?
Exactly.
Yeah, I would know, because when you wait, take them and you put them with the side, they breathe, I know it's not listening to me. So I would beat them. That's what this was good for them.
I know, oh
So
my goodness.
the flowers were my students, and I always wanted to be a teacher. So I went to school, primary school. The thing is that I skipped classes, because I was just like,
You were bright.
right. So I skipped classes. When I got to standard 6, I moved to standard 7 at age 9.
Standard 7.
It's not like grade 7. It's the last class in primary school.
Okay.
Like the form 3.
Oh.
Yes. So imagine a 9-year-old among
Yes.
16-year-old and whatever. So I was 9 years old when I got to standard 7. The thing that something that bothers me a lot, I never went to high school. I recall.
Tell us what happened with that, because
Yes,
that is what fascinates me about your story.
I never went to high school. I never wrote the common entrance examination. And I used to be in the common entrance class. And then the principal would come and say, there were about 5 of us. She would say, oh, you're not very young. You'll get a chance next time.
Oh.
Yes. I remember sometimes my name would be called in the exam room and I'm not there.
Couldn't you just go?
No. But then at that time, you're not aware. And your parents are not. Once the teacher says something, your parents
Yes, the teachers will always
the teachers say. So the principal always says, she's young, she'll have another chance. So here am I just wasting time in school. I wasted 6 years in school. But I was more helping teachers. They would go and write an exam, and when they come back, they feel I just take the paper and say, well, look the answer there. You know? So I wasted those years, I just wasted them in primary school. And when I was 13 years, I wrote my school living. Can you believe at 14 I have to leave school?
Oh my.
So I wrote my school living, and I wasted another 2 years just mingling in school and cleaning class and helping teachers and stuff like that. So at 13, I wrote the school living examination, passed everything. And I recall going to, you could have gone to high school, school living. We went to St. Martin's School, we went to convent. I remember the sister Bojo, whatever her name was, said they have no space. I cried for them there. And I said to her, well, my stepfather is a carpenter. He can make me a bench and a chair and a table. Sister still says she don't have space. I think that day I cried from Roseau to Castle Road.
So the no space was what they didn't have sitting.
They didn't have chairs.
For you.
So I gave her the
so
solution.
You offered.
I said my stepfather was with me that day. So I told her my stepfather can build a chair and a desk for me.
Oh my God, you wanted it so badly.
I wanted it so badly because all my friends were in high school and I was just in the village.
Yeah.
All my friends were in high school.
So help me understand this, Jacinta. You're saying to me that you kept being told you were too young.
Yes.
To sit the exams. So so wasn't there a point where somebody realized that you were at the age that you need to sit the exam?
I don't know what was going on. I remember I had bought books. My mother had bought books for me to go to take lessons. So when we were passing, there was a teacher giving training lessons. So my mother put down her big basin of clothes by the police station, went to the teacher in the garage, and said, why is it that I'm not taking classes? Because she bought all my books. She said to my mother, well, burn them, burn the books.
I'm going to ask you a question, and I want your honest response as best as you can answer me. Do you think somebody was doing this intentionally?
You know, for that, there's a lot of, I will tell you, I don't stick to it, but there's a lot of evil. There's a lot of evil. I remember, while I was teaching, I sent a class of students to write the common entrance exam. And nobody passed. Nobody passed the exam. And it baffled me for days. I couldn't even sleep. Then one day, one of the parents came to me and she said to me, don't worry, it's not your fault. somebody was messing around my class. Because somebody did not want somebody's child to pass the exam, so everybody paid for it. So when the mother told me that, and I see her son every day. Every time I see him, I swing my head and say, oh my God, but he's doing very well. He has a business and he's doing very well. He's doing very well. So my students, all my students, I mean, they call me teacher. Up to this day, they will see me, they are married, they have children, they whatever. But they always tell you, that is my best teacher, miss. That's my best teacher. So I'm always happy for those kind of comments.
So you never got to sit the exams, and time just passed on you, passed by. Somebody didn't want you to sit that exam for whatever reason. Somebody did, because you clearly, based on what you said, you were a bright child. You would have passed.
I would have passed. I went. Imagine another exam I wrote. So somebody told me about the Wesley High School exam. So I went and I wrote the exam was so easy for them. Any preschooler could have done the exam. The exam was. I wrote the exam. And when my results came, somebody took my letter from the post office and never gave it to me. I could have gone to West High School.
Oh my goodness.
You go to the post office and you take the letter. Before you come post office, madam tell you, they call name. You say, I'll take it for. I never got my letter.
So did you know who took your letter?
I don't know, and I don't want to know. I'm just saying the joke is on them.
It is indeed.
I'm always saying the joke is on them. The letter came to the post office, somebody took it, and that was it. So the joke is on them.
So no Wesley High School,
no Wesley High School,
space
no
in convent for you,
yes.
even if you wanted to build your own chair and desk.
Yes. That was one of the things that really bothered me. And then I'd come to Tonga and I seen all these girls out there in school, and everybody working in bank, everybody working there and there and there. It was something I say, every disappointment is a blessing, because it made me think and I begin to try to achieve for myself. So I was involved, engaged, intellectually stimulating and all of those things. So I think it helped me to, to want to do more for myself. And I think I have reached that level.
So at 13 years old, you sat the school leaving exam.
Yes, and I had 2 more years wasted in school because I had to leave school at 15.
So you sat the exams, you passed, and still no opportunity to go to secondary school.
So, yeah.
So you were just there.
I was just there, but I read a lot. Probably made me read a lot. I read a lot. When she was playing games outside and whatever, I would be there for book. And trust me, I don't need one reading book. I read it over and over.
Wow.
Winnie the Pooh and his friends.
Winnie the Pooh and his friends.
My husband gave me that book. He was a teacher. And I read, and then thank God the public library started coming up. So I would devour books, and I would exchange books with other students. I read a lot. Up to today, I'm always reading. Anytime you see me, I have a book I'm reading. So that's put me on.
Thank God for that.
Yes.
So 2 more years wasted in school,
yes,
but you read all the same.
Yes,
you still continue to feed your mind and feed your brain. And at age 15, you had to leave.
I left at 15 because that was the end of my school, primary school. But then at 15, maybe 2 months after I left school, I got we call it a job at the Rosary Boxing Plant, where I was a recorder. People bring in. My friend told me there was a vacancy there, so she talked to the supervisor, and then I got there. So I spent about 6 months at the Rosary Boxing Plant. That's where the hotel is located, in that area. And then soon after that, I started teaching. I wasn't even 16. I started teaching in March. My birthday is in September. March 1972. They called me to teach because somebody had a baby, so they wanted a substitute. So I was in the river washing. My mother called me. So I went there. I was going to hear what they're saying. But it's a good thing I had dressed properly. So they sent me to the class. No training, nothing. But I mastered it without being an untrained teacher.
Do you remember your first day? I know you said you were already dressed, they sent you in, but do you remember your first day at all?
Well, my first day, it wasn't difficult because the children were almost my age. So these were people that I was interacting with, they were all almost my age. So the first day wasn't difficult. So I just, melt into it, and I'm a quick learner. So I learned. So I spent 13 years as a teacher.
13 years.
13.
Before we talk about the number of years you spent as a teacher, around that time, I sometimes get the feeling that people in the countryside, around that age, in the rural areas, by that time they want to go down to Roseau.
Everybody wanted to go to Roseau, including me. And everybody who went down to Roseau came back with an accent.
From Roseau?
Yes, everybody went down to Roseau came back with an accent. Very polished language, and then you become an envy of these people. Yes. And then they were very cliquey, you know, they're from Roseau and, you know, urban country and stuff like that. So
you wanted to go to Roseau too?
I wanted to go to Roseau. Even I used to work at Astafans. I think I did what they call at Astafans, you know, but they never called me back. I did it for what reason, but yeah, I was really trying to get into Roseau. Because Roseau was it for them. If you lived in Castles in the 1970s, Roseau was it. You want to come to Roseau. So, but anyway, I got to come to Roseau like on vacation time because my auntie lives on the Riverside apartment. That's Mrs. Scotland, Anthony Scotland's mom. So she had come and spend, you know, the vacation with them. So that gave me a good taste of Roseau.
In your time, was it still the truck that people traveled?
Oh my God, we had a truck. Well, blessed Pastor, he had a truck. And for then that truck had to stop. Almost, it had to stop by Cheyenne. That was my Evans, now his grandmother. It so had to stop there. And then the kind of plume and smoke that was coming out of the truck. And the guy, so that is I got headaches, was riding the truck. And then the trees were turning. I don't know why the trees were turning. Like when you want to hold that truck, you see the trees turning, especially during Christmas Day when you have to go up early to go down to Roseau. It was a treat for us, you know, to come to Roseau. You know,
the trucks had seats, so you had to stand.
It had seats. They had wooden seats, and you know, you really had to hold. But I mean, when they corner, they would take the corners.
And the roads, what were the roads like?
It was the holy roads, very holy. They were very holy. And then you know, you see the precipice, and you know, as a child, you know, you're afraid and stuff like that, but it was a trick to come into Roseau to tell some. When you go back up there, was no you pass by Batter Shoe Store, you pass by the hub, they would sell large hats and stuff like that, you know. So, but Roseau has changed. Roseau has changed.
So today it's like living Dominican, going to New York or going somewhere else. That was like going to Roseau for you.
That was like going to Roseau. We really enjoyed coming into town. Especially you buy your little treats, you know, to bring home. Christmas time, I mean, we don't get up during the week early, but when it's Christmas time, we don't want to miss a truck. And then you have to walk, right now the buses are picking you up by your home or as close as possible. But then we had to walk to the central location, which was Guglu, to catch, that was a bus stop, to catch the truck at this time. But the famous drivers were Mr. Foster, Mr. Wiley, and then Son Drago. Those were the truck drivers I can remember clearly.
What time would the truck leave for Roseau? What time did you have to be at that one
By
point?
6:30.
6:30 p.m.
No, a.m.
A.m.
to go into town.
But when you leave in town, what time?
We left town maybe about like 5 for the latest.
Or as the truck leave you down?
Oh, yes. But that truck, when it came down, it had to go and drop food for children going to high school. So you're on the truck, you have to go there. You have to go there. Even hospital, they will tell the truck driver, go and bring that for persons in the hospital. So you have to, that's how I know different streets in Roseau, because the trucks are dropping food, you know, for students who are in town.
Yes, I understand before, that's how it worked out. A few people who've been on the program before, so their parents, somebody would house them in Roseau, but the parents would send down the food and so on.
Fish. And sometimes they complain they didn't get any. The students would complain, you know, they never see the fish, they see the Simba all the time, they don't see the dolphin that was coming down, you know, stuff like that. But some of them were not treated well.
Yes, I've gotten a couple of stories. But I like going back in that time.
I love that time.
It always makes me a bit nostalgic, you know, just to hear
that time,
the guests on the
program. I always tell people that was the best time, the 70s. Lots of things were happening. You had the Block Power movement, you had, I mean, you were just engaged, you know, the Rastafarian movement was taking its, you know, its peak during that time. So there's a lot of engagement, a lot of discourse, you know, which you don't see much now. So, and people would come out, but you see, television has changed a lot. People would come to the meetings. You have a meeting, I mean, the whole day will come down to the meeting. But like now, you have a meeting, you'll find maybe 20 people. People don't come out because they're toward their soap, they want to use their soaps. So, television has, I mean, changed a lot of stuff.
We will go back to the teaching aspect in a while, but you brought up a couple of things that happened in the time of the 70s. I'm a child of the 70s. I was born in the 70s.
But I was a youth.
But you were a youth in the 70s.
Right.
And you spoke about the Black Power movement.
Yes.
And you spoke about the Rastafarian
Right.
time. Tell me what you remember about those times. Did you have any involvement in any participation in any of this?
It was just a
I like that girl.
a lot of discourse because we were beginning to get an identity during the Black Power movement. Black is not that bad, you know, because we always thought that things that were white or produced overseas was best. So it taught us to accept ourselves, you know, as we are, and know that black people are very strong people, because growing up it made us realize that, you know, we have done a lot of stuff. Black persons have invented a lot of stuff that was stolen from them. So, you know, I'm very proud of my black ancestral race. Although people still query, we're not really from Africa, but I still have this connection. I mean, I'm in Houston walking around, and somebody tell me, you look Igbo. I say, what is Igbo? It's one of the races, tribe or whatever. So people, you know, I walk in and they identify me as an African because, you know, I was dressed. If I don't tell them, I would say, no, I'm from the sweet Caribbean. So if I don't identify myself like that, but they would take me for an African person. And then I grew my afro. That taught me, you know, to love yourself.
So you were natural.
I'm still natural.
Did you ever?
No. Once I went to Houston, my cousin said, you know, so long they see me like that. Let them pull my hair. I didn't fight them. I said, okay, let's pull my hair. For then the same night I take it out. Because it wasn't fitting me.
What do you mean you take it out?
I just cut the hair. I didn't want the perm. Because I'm not used to being perm.
Right.
But when I watched myself in the mirror, it wasn't me.
Yes.
So
I couldn't identify with that.
Yes. So my niece always tell me I'm not, like in the cosmetic business, I'm not strong there. And that's not my strength.
And that's alright. You're as natural as they get. It's okay to be natural.
Okay, yes. If I don't want to wear lipstick, I don't want to wear lipstick. But I want to be natural.
But you never grew dress? Did you ever grow dress?
Yes, man. I cut my dress the other day for that. You never saw me with
that
the dress.
That is correct.
Of course, for that. I cut the dress. I had dress. I try everything.
You try a little bit of everything.
Right.
So what?
Except the poem. I don't like the poem.
You didn't like the poem. So that was what? And who brought you into the whole Black Power movement? I know Brucey Douglas would have been quite an influencer at that time.
That's the name. It was after all this thing happening in Montreal and all this thing, and then I began to read more.
I see.
I began to read more and more and more, and then it just turned my appetite into that consciousness. I mean, if you go, I have my calabash, you know, to serve my food. So my mother says, don't tell you Rasta, we don't tell you dread. But I believe in, you know, in the blackness of in the race. And I think we have achieved so much that we were denied a lot of stuff. I mean, if you read black history, I mean, we should be so proud of us as a people, as black people. I mean, when I read about the inventions that black people have done, I mean, I'll put my hand in my mouth and say we have done so much, but it was always stolen from us because we do not have the money. So I learned a lot about Marcus Garvey, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King. So I read a lot of their biographies. Mandela, sometimes they say I'm the Winnie Mandela of Castles. So, you know, I read a lot of those, their history, and it just taught me to love my race as a black race.
What about the Rastafarian community and movement?
I moved around. My uncle was a Rastafarian. So I was always among them, always having discussion, always having talks. So that stood me in terms of, I stopped eating pig for a long time, but sometimes I don't know the pigs are different. But grow my vegetables and my altars and stuff like that. So it really helped. It really helped.
Mm-hmm. So that was an interesting time.
Mm-hmm.
An interesting time.
Lots of movements.
Mm-hmm. What was happening? So that was happening for you. So you were identified with your blackness,
right,
and all of that, and your consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
What was happening within your community and within Dominica where that was concerned?
Well, the thing going back to the earth and eating what you grow was being pushed, by the Rastafarian community, and I like that concept. So you have to just get people to eat, because right now we have all this hypertension, all this diabetes. If we had followed that trend, probably we would be better off than where we are today.
All right. Jacinta Bannis in the spotlight. It is 9 minutes past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we're happy to have you tuned in with us on the program tonight. Those of you who are joining us via Facebook Live, please let us know that you're there, and just send us a little shout out. Let us know that you're there as well. So, Jacinta, back to this time in your life where you wanted an education really bad. You wanted a secondary school education really bad, and no matter how hard you tried to get into secondary school, you just could not get into secondary school. You later went on, sat your school living exams, and again the opportunity couldn't come for you. We're coming back in just a while, and we'll talk some more about what happened after that. This is the In the Spotlight radio show. Keep it locked. We're coming right back right after this.
FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. in the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Jamaican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more.
Okay, live, we're coming back in just a while.
Public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from p.m. In the Spotlight.
One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining, a must listen to. In the Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q95.
In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m. In the Spotlight, featuring people from all walks of Dominican life, spotlighting their triumphs and tragedies, dreams, hopes, and aspirations, untold stories, touching the human and personal side of people in politics, religion, sports, business, music, culture, the media, and more. Getting to know our farmers, our public servants, youth, and the ordinary Dominican. Listen to their stories. No limitations, no restrictions, no holds barred. In the Spotlight will also spotlight interesting topics, issues, and relevant situations. Don't miss In the Spotlight on Q95 FM radio every Monday night from 8 p.m.
Okay,
In
is it
the
daylight?
Spotlight.
What is it daylight?
One-on-one with interesting personalities, educational and informative topics and issues, intriguing and entertaining, a must listen to. In the Spotlight, Monday nights from 8 p.m. on Q95.
Any particular one of Omani you like?
I don't like this in marijuana. Yeah, but Like 3 little birds or something like that.
I like that. All right, 16 minutes moving on past the hour of 9 o'clock, and we are back with Jacinta Bannis in the spotlight tonight. Secondary school, none of that, but she got the opportunity to teach after working 6 months at the boxing plant
yeah.
in Rosalie. What were you doing?
I was just recording the weights, you know, when people came with the bananas, we weigh them and I'd record the weights.
And you'd record the weights. All right. Your initial interaction with people too.
Oh yes,
that means you started
up to today I have made friends. I still have friends in Grantham.
Banana farmers.
Yeah.
You started making some friends there with some banana farmers.
I still meet them every day.
And then the opportunity came to teach. Let us talk about that.
I went to teach. I mean, I'm 15, going on 16. Some of the students, I mean, they're older than me. I'm not older, they're much bigger than in size. But I did very well with my students. I engaged my students. I mean, the boys will tell you they left school and they can sew.
They can sew?
Yes. The girls will tell you I was the only one to teach them to make, you know, crochet. So I had a little crochet group after school, you know, teaching them to crochet. During my teaching years, I had both the senior and junior Red Cross group at school. So we did the first aid, and we did a lot of community things like visiting the sick, cleaning for them, you know, and stuff like that. We would do the church when it's our time to clean the church. So I had both the senior and Red Cross group. I was also the chairperson of the Catholic Youth Movement, so I served them for almost 9 years during that period. I was a catechist. I taught First Communion. I taught confirmation classes. I was involved in the choir. I read in church. So I was, you know, always active in the community. One day the priest was then we had to do the funeral.
You had to do the funeral?
We had to do the funeral. Because you have to bury the person for the there was no ice box, no chill box. So, and the priest was absent because, you know, your involvement in church, we were able to, you know, do the funeral at that time. Okay. So I was very involved. You know, by the time I leave school in the afternoon, I do my prep, I go home, I'll be going back down the road. Sometimes I'll probably last months, but you know, if I was going up the hill still, I wouldn't be that size, you know. So I was going up and down the hill. During that time I was weighing 128 pounds. Today I'm 100 and probably.
Let's not say. A woman doesn't tell her age or her weight, Jacinta.
I usually do.
You do?
Yeah,
you
so,
don't mind?
No, I don't mind. If you have to buy me something, you know what to buy me.
Not me. Don't ask me that.
Okay, but those days were very engaging for me. You know, at school, I mean, Red Cross, both senior and junior, Catholic Youth Movement, and sometimes I would run a concert by myself. I would practice the drum for the concert and run the concert myself. I backstage, I front stage, I everywhere. So children, I remember me for those things.
Yes.
I would take them on hikes. Even if in confirmation class we were on a hike, I would take them by the bayside, they would cook. So they would, I went to Houston recently and they said, how would you do that lentil thing again? I said, okay, I will do it one of these days. So they always remember me for the extra thing, not for the maths and the English, for the hiking.
The extracurricular activity.
That's why I was actually engaged in extra classes. So that was that period, you know, I was very active. I mean, you have the children, so you had the time to go up and down and do things, take them on hike, take them to different villages. Some of them never had an excursion to another village, so I would organize all those things. But I was happy that my parents were always willing to assist, so that's one good thing. I had the parents with me, they always engage and help with me. So during those periods, another thing that happened to me at school where I was teaching, I never went to teachers' college. And I was asked, I was apply for teachers' college. Then all I would get, you do not have 5 GCE.
CXE or GCE.
I have no GCE. How could I get GCE? I have no GCE. So I went to town, I think the CBs, I imagine, I did a thing called commerce. I don't know what it is. But I wrote an exam on commerce and biology, social and whatever biology, I wrote that, and English. So I got 3, but I need 5.
So wait. So did you teach yourself?
Yes.
So you bought the books?
I got the books and I taught myself.
You taught yourself?
Yes, and I passed 3 subjects.
3 subjects?
3 subjects. So you can imagine if I had gone to high school to get the rest of the stuff.
Determination.
Yes. But interestingly, I had 3 and I still could not go to teachers' college. Like if when the teacher comes to school, the principal say, go and with Miss Bannis. So it's like a lot of them, I mentored them when they would come to school. But then when it's time for college, they go to college. You know how sad that was?
Of course. You went through some really difficult
But then I'm a person of faith. So one day, one of the education officer came and I said to him, that's funny. I said to him straight, I'm going to look for a Cuban scholarship. If you're not giving me a scholarship, I will look for a Cuban scholarship. So I was able to go to teachers' college for 4 months, but I had my plans in the works. So when I got...
So they took you in?
They took me in
with your 3 subjects?
With my 3 subjects.
Okay.
But I already had my plans to move on. But I was going to move on, not to leave teaching, but to go and study early childhood education. That was my area I wanted to go and study. So I took 2 years of study leave and I went to Virginia.
With your 3 subjects? With
my 3 subjects. And when I went to the college, Virginia Community College, I just had to do a little exam and they said, okay.
How did you get that going?
Okay. Ira's dad was up in the States. So I said, well, if I have to come to the States, I want to go to school. So he got to school for me. That's Simon George. I'm very thankful for that up to today. He got me to school, got me somewhere to live. When I came up, where I was supposed to live, I couldn't live there anymore. So I spent about 2 months with some nuns at the convent. I spent 2 months with them at the convent, and then I kept looking for stuff. So at Virginia Western, I just did an exam and they said I'm weak in algebra and trigonometry. So then I went to the books and I bought a book on trigonometry, I bought a book on algebra. And I studied myself. I would go to the math section center and I would just stay there and study. I studied and I passed. I got satisfactory because they don't give you credit for those. I got satisfactory in all of them. When I wanted to transfer to Virginia, while I was on to take another math, she told me I could not take trigonometry. I said, Mom, I want to take trigonometry. She said, just take college math. I said, no, I want to take calculus. Calculus. I said, I want to do the calculus. I mean, no, I won't be able to do calculus, blah, blah, blah. Anyway,
she said you wouldn't be able to do it?
Yes. So I said, I'm going to register for calculus. So I registered for calculus, but then I passed with flying colors. Wow. The same professor gave me a book, a maths book. When she saw my grade, I passed the class. She gave me a maths book. So sometimes you have to fight for yourself. Don't let people tell you what they want.
You have a lot of determination.
Yes, you have to be determined. So for then, I had nowhere to stay. So I went down to Virginia Western and looking at the message board. I see a family wanted somebody to house sit with them. So I went to see them. They said they'll call a family. So I went to them, I introduced myself and they said they'll get back to me. Then when they got back to me, they told me it's okay. So I spent 2 years with that family. So that means I had no housing to pay. And I spent 2 years with them. I mean, we're still in touch. Up to this day, we're still in touch.
Wow.
And with that family and even the children. So all I had to do for the grandmother was to just make sure she's okay.
I want to play that song and just listen, and my brother is probably going to laugh. When I saw that, You know, Bernard is listening. Bernard is tuned in, by the way. There's quite a few of them. Yes. There's quite a few of them who are tuned in. Lisa, Bernard, Judy, quite a few of them who are having their own conversation going on there. And Bernard just wrote, you know, that listening to your story, it makes one remember that song of Buju Banton is not an easy word. So I just put it up for a moment. But that's a fact though, Jacinta. I mean, you had nowhere to stay. You lived with nuns for 2 months. What was that like, by the way?
Well, it was interesting. And then a joke about it, one of the nuns went to the Grand Canyon. She fell in love.
She found the man?
She fell in love.
While you were there?
Yes.
Oh my.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So for them, that's something I missed. When I applied to go to study, I went to study early childhood education. So I took 2 years of study leave. I asked for whatever, I was not granted leave with pay. I was not
You were not granted leave with pay.
So I took study leave.
Why?
But I didn't question those things.
Yes,
I just know I'm a woman of faith and there's a God above. So I went to do those things. I graduated with honors from Virginia Western. When I graduated, I wrote to the ministry. I said, I have an associate degree, but it's not enough for me to just come back. I'm going to do my bachelor's.
One time.
So they wrote me and said to me, it's not possible to get study leave. Well, I said, well, if you have any
gratitude. You see how people don't encourage people and give people the motivation
and the means
and
to move.
The support.
So they said, if I have to continue, I have to resign. So I resigned my job.
Oh my.
Then I said, is there any compensation for me? They wrote me back and said, well, you only have 9 years, you should have made 10 because it took out 4 years for non-pensionable whatever.
Oh my
so goodness. So it kept me 9 years. And I kept struggling to get them to just give me a compensation.
A little something. Nothing. 1 year short.
Nothing.
Oh my.
So I got to go to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is a very prestigious university. That's where they had the shooting for the first year. So I went to Virginia Tech. I don't know how I made it, but there was a lady sending me a little sum of money every month.
From where?
She was from Florida. I didn't know her, but she was sending me some money through her trust. So when I got to go to Virginia Tech, I had no money. So I wrote to her and I said, can you just send me the rest of the tuition in one lump sum? She said, that's okay. So she sent it to me and I was able to pay my first semester. So then after I paid my first semester, I met this lady from Finland in class and we became friends. I'm good to, I'm easy to...
You connect with people very easily.
So the next semester she didn't see me. So she said to me, when she saw me, I and I were outside, sitting on the bench and we were counting cars. Cars were passing, I said, this is mine, the blue. I said, well, the green is mine. You know, children, they play those kind of games.
So you had Iola already?
Yes. So she was with me in Virginia. So we were counting cars. So then she came, her car showed. She said, I didn't see you at school. I said, well, I don't have any money. She said, do you want to go to school? I said, of course. So she said, we go register for second semester. It was first summer session. I did the first summer session. Then she said, what about second summer? I said, yes, I did it. And then at one point she just said she's going to pay a year of school for me. I didn't know the lady, she was from Finland. She said to me, her husband died, he was in the military and she had some money. So she paid a whole year and a semester, 2 semesters for me. We're still in touch. I went to visit her not too long ago. She's from Finland. I didn't know her. But
this is incredible.
Yes. So she paid 2 years of school for me. And in my last semester, I had no money to finish. So I went to the International Center. There was a professor, Dr. Labuch. I told him, well, I'm ready to finish, but I don't have any money. And I said to myself, baby, he's angry. I mean, there's no money. So I went home and next day I got a call. Can you come to the office? So in my head, I'm saying, well, Dr. Labuch. When he was very serious, what happened? Because I have a friend who's his friend. So I said, I don't know if there was a communication. But when I come, they said how much I need. I said, I only need 700. So he said, okay, look, give me 900. So I finished, paid for.
Who, the same doctor?
Yes, the same doctor.
What was wrong?
I don't know, because I have blessings. I was telling people, who do you bless? No man curse. So they paid that for me. I even got an extra $200 for myself. So I completed Virginia Tech. Bachelor's.
In?
I did women's studies, sociology and communications. So I did the liberal arts program because I said I want to be more flexible. I don't want to just do economics or accounts or whatever, but you know, you can be more flexible for the liberal arts degree. So I did the bachelor's at Virginia Tech. Then I came back to Dominica in 1990.
Why? What was the reason for coming back?
Well, some people in Castle felt I could run for the Dominican Labour Party.
Oh my goodness!
So I came back because my interest was becoming a college professor. That was my dream. But I sat down and I thought of it. You know, when you're called to serve, you know, you sometimes you have to make certain decisions. So I said, okay, because I'm a very patriotic Dominican, no matter what, I'm a very patriotic Dominican. So I came back down to Mike Douglas, best memory, Mike Douglas.
Were you already a Labourite?
So then I've been a Labourite at 11 years, since 11 years.
But how you become a Labourite at 11 years?
Because my mother was I was following my mother everywhere. And then when Rosie would come to Castle Bruce, anytime Rosie comes on vacation, he comes to Castle Bruce. He would stay in the upstairs by Mrs. Ostry and, you know, give us a talk and talk. So I was learning from that. I learned a lot from that. And so I came down and then Spat had offered me a job also. So I said, if whatever. So I came down, I started working with SPAT, and then after that I ran for the election. But I want to put a pin there. I think SPAT did a lot for Dominica. People like Joey Peltier, Ron Green, Gregory Rabes, you know, in terms of community development, and that itself helped me a lot because I worked in the communities with them, like in Jubla, in Pidissavan. Because when I hear people talking about community tourism, I mean, we had this thing going for a while. But, you know, we tried to sell the concept, but people were not ready to accept. I mean, we have been a long way in terms of community tourism. I mean, we tried. But then you have consultants coming down, you show them your information, bam, they write a report, and that's the report. I mean, I know two things that SPAT was doing that other consultants took on board. So I sometimes say, well, we should copyright that thing, you know. So people could not just take it. But we were far ahead and we were involved in the community. I mean, if you go to any community in Dominica where SPAT has worked, I mean, people will tell you what they have learned. I mean, I look at people from the rural areas. Because of that, they got involved in the village council. They got more involved in community development. And I think that has helped us. I mean, I was running the women's program, and I did a lot in terms of women's issue, women and health. You know, taking out on camps, on workshops. We were always organizing. So I think SPAT played a critical role at that time in the history of Dominica. And every time I'm saying to myself, boy, I wish SPAT would get some funding. So see, right now, post-Erica, we need NGOs like SPAT back into the community.
I wonder if people like my brother Bernard would come back.
You have to ask him.
That's one for you, Bernard. Answer that.
You have to ask Bernard, yes. Oh, because Bernard and them were doing the video program. I mean, it's a good program. I mean, with SPAT, I traveled a lot, you know, when I was with SPAT. You know, I went to Rome, to the conferences, to Christian Aid in England, where we were talking
What
about...
was the overall objective of SPAT?
Well, just more developing communities and building capacity of persons in those communities. That was the thing. And then we build capacity because today when I see the person that we work with, they're all over the place, you know, engaging in community development. These people are still engaged in community development because of the base that they got from organizations like SPAT. So, you know, we did a good work, and the social league, I can't forget them.
Somebody's asking what the SPAT means. Small Projects Assistance
Small Project
Team.
Assistance Team.
Team assistance.
Yes, that was SPAT.
Okay.
But towards the end, I can't even remember, there was a name change when we were doing an evaluation. And what I saw people cried because they did not want the name change. But eventually, the funding got short, and that's where SPAT has been today. But I think we have documented a lot of stuff. We have documented a lot of information that is sitting in archives somewhere. I think Dr. Esper was trying to work with us on, you know, putting those things, you know, in the social media things. So we could have.
Would you get back involved in a SPAT? If
I would get involved in a SPAT. Once it's touching people's life, I would get, because we didn't teach people to be dependent. We taught people to do things for themselves. You know, they engage them to do things for themselves, you know, in the rural community. So that was the gist of it. And if Panman is listening, people still ask me about Panman every day. Where is Panman? No, it's Panman. So we left an impact on the community.
I think so. So let us talk about you coming back now to, we digressed a bit to SPAC from the politics.
So I came back to run for the Dominican Labour Party. Trust me, the sum of money that we have today and the sum of money that I got.
So you got money?
For to run a campaign, I don't want to tell you how much, you know, I'll tell young people.
Yes.
Compared to what you see people having. And I'm saying to myself, I consider myself a patriotic Dominican. I did not lose my deposit, so I got my deposit back. So that's the amount I got to run a campaign. So when you have a campaign going on with thousands and thousands of dollars, sometimes I'm saying, is there commitment?
You couldn't do anything with that. I won't tell them what you wrote off of your
yeah, bus drivers, because they love me so much, they don't ask me for their money. You know? Well, I couldn't pay bus, I couldn't pay buses.
No.
That
right there is one, you know,
that
like
is just, what is that? If you're having a lunch for a few people.
Yes.
So there was nothing, but I didn't lose the deposit. I was very happy, you know, to represent. I did a good job just representing, but sometimes I felt maybe people like the gutter thing, and I was not involved in that. I was more an issue.
Okay.
I was more an issue.
I don't remember you though, Jacinta, as a politician.
Of course, but I know.
My God.
Yes, I ran for the Democratic Labour Party in 1990.
Well, probably I wasn't really involved in the whole
it was more
political agenda in Dominica. So you ran on issues?
Yes.
What did you run against?
I ran against the famous Romanos Bannis. And
you did?
And even
you were very brave.
Yes, ma'am. When I was stimulating people, Uncle Rome was giving them drink.
I see.
So they were more interested. I wasn't buying rum. I wasn't going into a rum shop to buy rum and to serve people rum.
I see.
So Uncle Rome was giving them the rum, but I was giving them some because...
So it really works, Jacinta?
What? The rum? But I don't know, but you see, at that time...
things like that, you know.
I had nothing to give. All I could give them was, you know, information and stuff like that. But people want physical things.
Yes, they do.
They want money, they want stove, they want free.
Yes.
I couldn't give them that.
Yes.
I was giving them, as a song say, by your love, I was giving them my love to serve them as a community. But I didn't sell.
Wow.
But even when I went to go to one of those, like I said, I campaign for you, you know, I don't remember the guy. But I only remember him campaigning for me. So there are people that are still, you know, remembers me in that era.
So and did I guess Rome won?
Rome won the seat.
Do you remember by how much?
I know I lost by about 100 votes.
Oh, that's not so.
No, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad because when I won Castle Bruce, I lost in Good Hope. I won Castle Bruce. I won to the Super, but I think my loss was in Good Hope.
I see.
So that's where the.
Do you remember the issues you ran on at that time? What were some of the key things?
I ran a lot on gender issues.
Gender issues.
Because that was one of my strong things. I looked at the feminization of poverty and how women should, you know, try to get out of poverty and don't be dependent. Even for men in terms of their education, because you find too many men, you know, they're not involved, you know, in that thing, and you know, also some family issues as well. And the farming, the Castle was a farming community. I studied the marketing Castles after I left. It all failed. Only one lady that kept doing callaloo soup on a Saturday, but no, she's at the shelter, she can't do it. But I was trying to do little things that would, you know, open the people's eyes. But
they were not.
I could not deliver big things.
No.
I was starting from, you know, grassroots, you know, simple things. Use what you have in your backyard. And the women came with pepper sauce, and they came with provision, and they came with whatever they grew in their yard and ready to sell in the market. I would have a big, Lauren's, hey Lauren, if you're listening, Lauren's mom had a truck. So I said, you know, just bring the truck in the market on a Saturday. We announced funerals, we announced stuff on the issues, announced stuff that people wanted us to announce so people can hear. If the health center needs a meeting, we announced it. It was a, you know, it brought us a social, you know, togetherness. But it didn't work. After, I think our problem in Castles right now is leadership. Once the leadership is gone, and then people, you try to mentor other persons, but it's like they're so scared they don't want to to get to that point. But I think we need a lot of mentoring and more volunteerism. So I always tell persons, like, I remember Lucia as our youth officer. I always tell persons, Lucia gave me a very good recommendation when I was going to go to Virginia Western, you know, because of my work with them in the community. And some people would say, well, Jesse, we're senior time, you know, going to camp and going, but I said, I'm learning. So I always thank Lucia Blaise, you know, for recommending me. Because, I mean, to enter university, you need more than the 3 subjects. But Lucia was able to give me a good recommendation, and Mr. Dyer. So I think.
Talking about lessons learned, again, what did you learn from the political experience? And did you just give up on it then? Did you consider running again?
I never considered running again, but I was helped. I never considered running because it's like the night of the election, I thought I had won the election, you know.
You thought you had won?
Yes, because everybody passing, just I vote for you, just I vote for you, just I vote for you. So I learned one thing. People are very deceitful. Everybody passing. Trust me, I thought I had all of Castleros in the back. Just I vote for you, just I vote for you. Yeah, I vote for you, just yeah, I vote for. So I say, well, I love Castleros. And if good hope did not show up enough, I would would have
make up
for that. But when the real ballot comes, oh yes. So I learned that lesson in the political arena.
Right.
And if you cannot deliver, don't promise.
Yes.
You have
Lauren is listening.
Oh, Lauren, how are you, Lauren?
Or viewing.
Okay. Hi, Lauren, and good evening. So, and I was the first woman to run, you know, in Castleros.
Yes.
First female candidate of the Dominican Labour Party in Castleros, and for any other political parties, I was one of the first to run. So I made my mark.
You made your mark, and you were not interested in running again.
No, I would not run again.
But have you subsequently provided any kind of support or probably encouraged the female candidates?
Always. I mean, Lauren has been there, and we have been supporting Lauren, you know, all the time. So I've always given my support, whether it's male or female. So I always give my support. I work where I'm needed.
You work where you're needed.
Yeah.
All right. Taking a break, we're coming right back. We're speaking with Jacinta Bannis. Kadisha here is reminding me that I have not opened up the lines. We can take some calls. I know there's still a lot more to talk about, and we will. Don't worry. We can take some calls. 449-3095, 449-3096, 449-3097. But not moving off too much from the education trend of discussion, you further went on to do some more studies.
Yes. I went up to, I was in Florida, and I went to the Florida Metropolitan University, FMU. So I did a master's in HR, but general HR. I did a master's in general HR. And when I came back home, I think 2012, I studied the counseling. The counseling was a long program, almost 4 years. So I did the counseling, and I graduated with a master's of science in counseling in 2018.
2018?
Yes, I got my degree. Well, I completed the program in 2016, 17 about there. And then I was out in Houston. I said, okay, they'll put me on the program. So I got my certificates from Open Campus University. So I joined the graduation group. So that's why I have 2 master's degrees.
2 master's degrees. Coming from no high school education.
And Philina, I did a challenge. You know when they would do the challenge program at UWI? Because I wanted to go into law at one point, you know. So I did the challenge program. It was a 2-year program at UWI local. So I did that program as well. So when you do the 2-year program, because people like Mrs. Knight, they did those type of programs to enter, because you're an older student, so you do the challenge program, and then I did that. But the law thing didn't pick up for some reason.
Okay. At the end of the day, Jacinta, coming from this to that, What was that journey like? What again with you? I just feel I need to talk a lot about the lessons learned from your journey. So you come from not given the opportunity to attend secondary school. You were too young at what point in time?
I was young at between 9 and 13.
You were too young between 9 and 13.
Yes.
You could not get a seat in convent. You sat the school living exams. You attempted to get into Wesley High School. Somebody took the letter, whatever it said, you know, whatever that case was. But your level of determination is impeccable.
But then
your drive.
I am, what do you say, a hard worker. And I'm always, you see, education is my thing. Like my trainer, I always tell them they have to, you know, the only thing I can give them is for them to have an education. That's all I give them. So with that education, you can do much. Because I remember when I was working at SPAT, you see all these young men, they go to school, they would carry their girlfriends to school. I used to lament that. For extra lesson, they'll still outside convent and pick them up after. I'm saying, but just go to the class and, you know, enjoy the class with your girlfriend, and then you'll come out with. Because when this girl reaches a certain level, they're not going to bother with you. They have their car, they have their masters, they have this, that. They're not going to bother with you, so you have to do for yourself. So, I mean, most times I talk to people, I always encourage them to get an education. Start as, if you don't have anything, go to adult education. Start there. And then you can move on, you can do your CXC or what you call it, you can do that, and then you move there. Because if you don't have it, and for me, I always tell people, I will do the program, eventually a job might come up. I'm not going to wait to see a job and say, hey, you know, I don't have that. I do it, so when a job comes up, I know I have it. So my drive or my wish for people is that they should have the passion themselves. I mean, you see right now, I don't sleep much. Because of studies.
You're still doing more studies?
No, I'm not doing more studies right now, but I will take a few courses here and there because you need to keep a fresh. For example, with counseling, you must take a few, you know, short courses. So those things are available. But you have to be determined. So my free work time to 5. That's my study time. And just part of me. I get up at 3 o'clock every day. Even if I'm not studying, I still get up. So right now I'm preparing for an exam. So that I go up to Houston, I must be state certified. So every day I study 5 questions.
5 questions.
I study 5 questions, I make sure I know them. By the time I get up there, I'll be ready for the exam in the fall. But you know, people just, you know, sometimes, and the thing about it, I don't blah 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 my educational ability. I can sit with anybody. You come to Castle Bruce, I'm on the block with the guys. I can sit anywhere, I can have the conversation with the Roman on the street and whatever. But I think in Castle Bruce, I think people have accepted me as a community person. So it's like, you're just. So if you go to Castle Bruce, you can ask anybody, can you take me to show me Jess house, or do you know Jess? They'll tell you yes, they know Jess. Because I'm involved. Last year I organized a retreat for women, myself and Miriam. It was beautiful. So we had the psychologists came to the church, then they organized a hike, we had a weekend, not half of a weekend at Isaac Baptist place up there. I mean, and we had it was like a prayer breakfast. This area came from La Plaine, I mean, and the food, we just did vegetables and fruits, and you know, for the 2 days, I mean, it was wonderful, and we had a good sleep. So after Mariam saying, you know what, that, who didn't come probably regretted that they didn't come. We had a very good time, and the person is no more. So when things come before you, don't say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, oh, next time you'll have it. You do it now. So I'm a now person.
Put on your headphones. Let's take a couple of calls here for Jacinta Bannis, 4493095, 4493096, 4493097. The overseas line is 305-432-9624. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm doing okay right now. For the next, giving me a great time here.
I'm happy.
I've been listening to the show and I'm very impressed as to why I have not seen you in person. I can recall us to see. Point Michelle.
Gerald, there was Gerald and Tia. Yes, Gerald and Tita. Right, Tita is in Antigua.
Yeah, and I can recall you during those days you were the one even there responsible of putting a community radio program.
Yes, we worked along that and Bernard also, yes, in that night.
It was called What is Alan?
Oh, yes, we worked in the PD7 community, and that's why I really love, my heart went out. I went to visit PD7 probably 2 weeks after Erica, and I couldn't fathom where the steel was. And you know, I really cried when I went to PD7 because people like Teacher Bernard and his wife and the entire family, they followed our program throughout, and there's the Montopi Road that was part of the project. And then we have other projects in mind, but I didn't live to see that. But
I would like to know, are you still a humble person that I knew, seeing that you have 2 masters? I would like to know.
No, nothing has changed. Nothing has changed. I'm still very humbled. I interact with almost everybody. Sometimes I walk the road and I turn around, I say, oh, that was one of the persons I had, the program to at the state prison. They would call me, I'd gravitate to them and we talk. So to see where they are, how they're doing.
Yeah. I never knew you were from Castlebrook. I thought you were from Roseau.
Ah, no man, I grew up. No, I'm a country girl.
All right.
So who am I speaking with? Who's our father? Oh, okay. Yeah, man. I'm a country girl at heart.
I'm listening to the show and hearing the voice I was supposed to call it.
Yeah.
How kind you were.
I'm still that way.
Smiling.
Always.
Smiling. And I can recall coming to your office when I had my fax to do and my photocopy.
Alright.
Photocopy was not that.
Oh no, that was luxury.
Yeah. And I can remember going to for a community radio program.
Right.
Okay.
I just want to show this and I want to thank you for what you've been doing with this and
Okay, thanks very much. Okay, yes.
And I wish you all the best. And
Okay.
I'm a fan of the program.
Thank you.
It was a nice program.
Thank you.
I enjoyed so much of the Jamaican guy and also myself, I thought he was from Africa.
Danger Dan. You were one of those. All right. Thank you so much.
I want to wish you all the best.
Okay,
Have a good evening.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you so much, Manai. And thank you for listening. And thank you for listening to the program. And as I mentioned before, folks, those of you, especially in the diaspora, next week, Monday, is a holiday here in Dominica, August Monday, so I may not be here. As I said before, earlier on in the program, I will attempt to see if Q95 can probably play one of those programs that you probably may not have heard before, and probably give you a repeat next week Monday, but I will not be there in person next week Monday. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yes, good evening.
Good evening.
Yes.
Hi, good evening.
I'm good, thank you. And you? All right, go ahead.
So who's speaking?
Jefferson.
Huh?
Jefferson.
Yes, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay.
I'm enjoying the program.
Oh, thanks. You read on there, man?
More than I expected.
So you're in Davis, right?
Huh?
You're in Davis right now?
No.
Oh, because I know Q95 doesn't reach many of the Eastern.
Yes, they're working on that.
Okay, because Castle was tonight. I said, everybody, I'm going to Q, and they said, no.
And I was on Sunday,
Oh, you've already jammed. Well, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff.
Well,
She's listening.
He's trying to talk to me in the third person.
Okay.
All right. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thanks.
All right, thank you so much. Yes, thank you for calling into the program. Yes, thank you. Have a good night. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good night.
Yes.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, madam.
How are you?
I'm good.
Well, I very soon Jacinta, and I say, if that happened to you with your education, what about Bianca that's going through what she's going through? Anyway, you give me courage here tonight.
Okay. Yes, keep on fighting. How's Bianca? Okay. Oh, she's seen me. Okay. Yes. Okay, just keep on fighting for Bianca.
Yes, and I will see the people because that is a good program for people to see and people to see people know.
Okay. Thank you. Yes, thank you.
All right. Good night, my dear. Hello, good evening.
Hi, good evening. Hi, Jacinta.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine.
Good.
Proud of you, and like you said, you really a teacher, you know?
That sound like Mrs. Prevo? Ah, how are you? Okay. For real? Oh. You retired too early. Oh yes, you're doing very well. Okay.
Thank you for calling, Mrs. Freeville. I'm not sure which Mrs. Freeville, but Mrs. Freeville. Oh, okay. All right. Mrs. Freeville. I was supposed to see you. That's a different story, Mrs. Freeville. But I'll come. Don't worry. I'll be there.
Okay.
Jacinta, something that we didn't establish during the course of the program is we've not spoken about your family.
Oh, my
yes,
family.
your family, your life,
Okay.
that aspect of your life.
Yes.
And my colleague today reminded me that my program before I missed that part
Okay.
with my previous guest.
Okay.
So we don't want to miss that part tonight.
Okay.
And you have to tell us about your US movement as well. So let's talk about that.
Okay, Father, Iola's dad, he's Simon George. We had a very long relationship, but a short-lived marriage.
The short-lived marriage.
Yes.
Okay, that's all right.
Yes.
That happens.
Yeah, so it was...
So you had a long relationship,
long
and when you
relationship,
married,
yes, it just... So, but I mean, we're still friends. We're good friends. We are still good friends.
All right.
So I had Iola with Simon.
With Simon, okay.
Yes. And then I had Omari after a whole year. I went into hibernation for a year, and then here comes Omari.
Omari.
Yes. So Omari is in Florida. He lived in Kissimmee area.
Okay.
Doing very well. I still sing to him My Well Lollipop. That was our song when he was a baby. I still sing it. So the other day I told him I would sing it for Iman. He said, no, that is his song. So I got Iman and not song.
You have to find another song.
Yes. I got something from Julie Andrews. So that's
female
right, so
from the Sound of Music.
Yes, from the Sound of Music.
That's right.
That's his song. And then I came back paddle my canoe.
Yes.
There were some rough times. I just left. I went up to the States. That's when I did my
rough times here in Dominica.
Yeah, relationship wise.
Yes, okay.
And then I took my vacation from SPAT, and I just didn't come back. That's when I got my master's in general HR.
Okay, so who you went on your own?
I went on my own, yes. And
okay.
I got work. I worked and paid for school during this degree.
Okay.
So I remember one night my friend and I were coming from school. They were giving me a ride, and I said, "Boy, if something happened to us, they know me, no." She said, "Why?" I said, "But you see, I've been wearing the same jeans for 2 years. The same jeans I've been wearing, and took a little T-shirt." So I always tell people, you have to make sacrifices.
My sister Gail knows about that.
Okay. So
Gail,
I buy expensive stuff. I buy cheap tennis shoes for $2 and $4. When it start getting water, I feel it wet. I feel the water coming from the socks. So I say it's not to change it. So I live very simple. And then, but I know where I spend my money. Okay, so that was like in the States.
Educating yourself.
Right. So
getting that education that you so badly
I
wanted.
think yes, and that just put me to get to that point. So I'm an avid reader. I read everything. I would go in the toilet when we had pit toilet. I would sit down and read. They're looking for me, but I dare read
in the pit toilet.
Oh
my goodness!
Reading, but and that's where I learned about HIV/AIDS. I got a piece of a newspaper from Trinidad, and I started. And I mean, when I came out, I asked everybody to know about that. So I began talking about that because it scared me. From what I read, it scared me to death. So then, well, Omar is in Kissimmee, and I is here. Recently, I mean, I moved to the US again.
So you've moved?
Yes, I went to Houston. Then I came home because I was having.
You wrote letters. Wait. You wrote letters to yourself?
Huh?
What is Lauren talking about? Oh my goodness! They're selling you out. I'm sorry. So Kadisha has the phone in my line of sight. So sometimes I get to see some of the comments. So I'm seeing, and she wrote letters to herself.
Yes, I remember when I came to work at Spant. I mean, I'm not.
What should be?
I'm not seeing her coming to me from the post office. I sat down and I wrote a letter addressed to Jacinta Bannis. I wrote a letter to myself. Because I wasn't getting anything from the post office. Nothing came to me.
So because you were not getting any mail.
Yes.
You wrote a letter to yourself. You remember what you wrote to yourself?
I can't remember exactly what I put. I just put something my name, like my bio and stuff. And I put it in the envelope and I addressed it to me.
So you mailed it?
Yes.
To yourself?
Yes.
Listen to me.
I mailed it in the post office.
Lauren, thank you for that one. So you wrote a letter to yourself, went to the post office and mailed
it to myself. So when the postman came, I said, "Oh, I got something in the mail."
Were you okay?
I was okay for that. I'm still okay.
I have to ask.
I was okay.
And went home to wait on her letter to come in the mail.
Yes.
No, Lauren, this is crazy.
My letter came in the mail, Lauren. I didn't forget that.
You only did that once.
Once. I did it once. Yes. That's for fun. I did that for fun. I did that.
The first time I went that one, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's a good one for them.
I'm having a good laugh on your account tonight on this one. I'm serious. Oh my goodness. You are something else.
Thanks for listening.
Yes, that was a good one. I think we needed that one as well to just, bring a little laughter to the whole. I mean, we've had some fun during the course of the program.
It's very good.
That's what I like. I like when my guests, we can have a laugh, but we can get the message across.
I think people are getting the message
at the same time, and that is what our aim is to get the message across, to get people to learn from others' experiences, and not to allow the same to happen to them, where possible, that kind of thing. Yes, you were going to share something else?
Yes, before I forget, this afternoon, when I left home, at 5. So I got down, somebody gave me a ride for the sick week, the main spot was in Savannah. So I'm sitting there with two guys, I said, well, I have to go on this program, I don't want to be late. So I'm sitting, I'm saying, dear God, make me get a ride in the next 20 minutes. So I said, boy, you don't believe in the power of prayer? Wow. So then the first vehicle passed, we flagged it, the person passed. I said, it was my vehicle. God did not want me in that vehicle. Then the second, within at 6 o'clock, another vehicle came. So I said, Rosso, they were moving forward and they came back. So I tell the guy, this is the vehicle God wants me to go into town. So there were two ladies. I think your name is Josiane and Hazel. I want to big them up because that lady came to the program on time, because around that time, you don't get vehicles going on to Rosso. Everybody was coming up.
That's coming from where?
From Castle Bruce.
From Castle Bruce.
I don't know where they were coming from.
Okay.
So
you left this evening?
Yes.
To come down?
Right.
Oh.
So Josiane and Laurel, these two women, they gave me a ride. And the conversation was very nice. They were speaking, but they were playing gospel music, and I was meditating, and really I enjoyed the ride. So I just want to big them up for that. So that's why I'm here early. I came before you for that.
You did come here before me, my goodness. And I live close enough. Okay. Let's put it that way. And I drive. So So, you know, that says a lot.
So I want to say hi to them.
Okay.
For, you know, bringing me into town.
Jacinta, during your working life, you I see here that you also spent some time as a nursing assistant.
Yes, when I went to Florida, I'm not a certified CNA, but I mean I can do those things. So what my friend said, let's go and let's apply for the job. So they put my memory support, trust me. After that, my supervisor left everything for me. And I could tell her who to hire and who not to hire, because when they come in, I work with them and I'll say, okay, that person will spend a week. But that person, they will spend 2 days. And until I got employee of the month, so I was the memory support people for a time. So I was on that job for like 2 years because I wanted to go to school and study at the same time. So they were working with me until my days to go to school and then my days to work. But I think they missed me a lot when I left to go to Houston from that institution.
We cannot end our program tonight before we talk about your role as a senator and parliamentary secretary in the Ministry of Social Services and Gender Affairs, and very importantly, your role as director of the National Drug Prevention Unit. Let's take the first one first.
First one, yes. I came back to Dominica. I was called again to come back. On Pierre Charles, may so rest in peace. Seth called me and said, there's a position for me as Consul General at the UN. So I packed my bags, my son, and we came down. When we got down here, it was another story. It was Pierre Charles. But within the administration of the Foreign Affairs Ministry, they said there was not money to pay me. So Peter felt very bad, really, I could say it in his face, and he said, there's nothing much we can offer you.
The type of man I knew him to be, I'm sure he did.
He said, there's nothing much we can offer you, but there's Miss Theodore had left, so that's the only thing that's available right now. So I said, whatever, I'll do my best.
Okay.
So I served with Mr. Walter, Matthew Walter, as the senator and junior minister in that department. And because of the ministry, these are things that I love, social services, I was able to, like all my experience
make it work.
Yes, from the NGO movement had helped me to work, in that capacity. So I spent 2 years as a senator, and it was 2 good years.
It was 2 good years.
Yes.
Director of
Drug
Prevention Unit. Tell me about that.
So after I left the Senate, why I left the Senate because sometimes people run for election and they don't win, so therefore they have to place them somewhere. So I said, you know what? Let me look for something else, so that they can place these people if they don't win the seat, And then I got a call from that time Minister of Education. He was the Prime Minister, General. He said, there's a position at drug prevention. What about it? I said, well, I don't really know anything about drugs, but I'll try my best. Well, I went up to drug prevention and I moved the institution.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about drugs, but the thing is that
I remember you in that role for sure.
I would go to the messenger to ask a certain question. I would go to the secretary. So they were my mentors, I didn't feel that I was so up there that I couldn't ask them questions. I would say, well, no, how to do that now. Try now to do that now. And they would walk me through stuff. So for me, it was a learning process. And first of all, again, I was the first woman to head that unit. And I did some good work, with the schools and with the community and with the prison. And there are some individuals, if I walk the street today, they always say thank you for helping them, Some of them have gotten married, have jobs, and moved away from a life of crime and drugs. The greatest impact I see sometimes, persons that I worked with at the prison, I would have a prison program every year. We run a 6-week program at the prison. And some of these guys have made great strides in their life. They see me on the road. These guys, they call me every time I turn around and see what they're doing. But one of my keepers was born to Liverpool.
I need to make contact with him. I've been I sent him a Facebook message to get him on the program, and I've not been able to make contact. You're going to make this happen for me. Thank you.
So Bounty Liverpool was one of my greatest
successes.
Sorry.
Yes.
And every time I see Bounty, I say people can change. Nothing can hold you back. And I will say, as a one of faith, I always say, things happen. Because there's power in prayer that people don't understand. You pray, it will not happen now, it will happen tomorrow, but it will happen. Anytime I pray for something, it will happen. I've gone through some rough times, I've gone through some bad times, but I never let that put me down. There's one point in my life that I felt I was getting a nervous breakdown. And because of society, because I got close to the psychiatric unit to go to see Dr. Sharma because the way I was feeling. And you know what I said to myself, boy, people say I'm crazy. And I just turned back, I went back home. But what I want to say to people, and probably that would force me into counseling as well, you need to find somebody that you can speak to. Too often we hold our problems and it kills us, it gives us stress and it kills us. So I learned that you have to find somebody somewhere where you can speak in confidence, but sometimes people figure there's no confidentiality, and I think that kills them. But there's somebody out there who you can go and talk to. So I have gone through my struggles financially, emotionally, with people. But the thing about me, I don't get vexed. I don't keep grudges. I just keep going along, because I'm saying what I'm looking for right now is my salvation, and I will not nobody to distract me from getting there. Because the Bible tells you can have the whole world and you can still lose your soul. Community. I think Maria taught us a lot of lessons about things. We shouldn't hold on to things. Things. Just what you need. Because I said to people, if God can feed the birds, He will feed us. Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So we have to get ready to wrap things up. I want to make sure that there's nothing important that we left.
Spirituality, and what I find nowadays, children are growing up without formation. There's no formation at school. Some schools don't teach you this education. They don't get it on the street. What they get on the street is the cursing and the bad words. But I want to encourage families, whether it's a Friday or Saturday, whatever is your time of worship. If you say you are a believer in a certain faith, and if you don't go, but don't deprive your children from going to our churches and things, it's still helping us today, because we learn certain things that we sometimes cooking, and you don't see, we take the garbage and we just send it out there. And I always call on people. I mean, I get my curses too, but I make sure I call on them. Recently I was passing, they put new beans out in Roseville, and I'm seeing a chicken bone and the foil paper and the napkin on top of the container. I'm saying there are 4 big holes. You can just pitch it in, styrofoam sticking in the floor. You see a bottle stuck in the floor. As a community, just take it out. Recently I saw garbage and I said to the young child, take it out there and put it in the bin. The bin wasn't far, like 4 or 5 steps. Oh, it's not me that put it there. So I gently bend down, I pick it up, and I said, that's how you do it. You over there. Because I cannot see garbage. It does something to my being. So I want to encourage Dominicans, let us all of us join in the fight to keep the environment clean. And even Roseau, even when you come from the country, we eat and we just, I don't blame Roseau people, Sometimes people come from up and they just eat and throw this thing. I mean, I walk, I would fold my stuff, I put it in my bag. When I get to my house, I dispose of it. I have a little compost place. I have a place.
I want to say to Jacinta, what an inspiration you've been on tonight's program. I'm very happy to have had you on the program tonight. And as we wrap up, I know you've spoken about faith, you've just spoken about the environment. I'm still going to give you a final opportunity to share some final remarks, some final words with us that you would like to leave with me, with the listeners, and everybody who is viewing or listening to you tonight.
Okay, as a community, I think we have lost a lot of our community spirit. But if we have to build communities, I think right now, I see government building, apartment buildings. And so that means when you go into an apartment, it's a community. So people have to begin, to think as community. I mean, it's our place that we live. It's going to be our home. So we have to take care of the property. Not because it's government property that you just do what you want to be. So I want to see people take more pride. I mean, it's your home, it will be your home, but take more pride in those things, you know. Because sometimes I just figure some people, I mean, there are people that are too dependent on the system. So I would like to see persons, you know, try to do for yourself. Remember one time the Americans were on the food stamp and on the this and on the that, and they retrain them. So I would like to see probably more training, you know, for persons so that they can, you know, get employment otherwise. Because the government cannot employ everybody. So if you're employed, you go to the private sector, you know, to work. But I think our work ethics and our customer service is very poor. The other day, if somebody gets killed, the team that I work with in Castle in the housing project, Cindy, Richie, Samson, these guys. So, you know, we work as a team and we do very well. Okay, thank you.
All right. Thank you, Jacinta. Your ride to Castle Bruce is ready. Okay. So I have to relieve you so you can get going. Okay. But I really do want to thank you for being here tonight. You were wonderful, wonderful, wonderful guests that motivated, inspired us tonight. And we want to thank you for being you and for sharing with us tonight. Right. Thank you, Jacinta. I'm going to let you.
Everybody name, but my big brother, my brother in Houston, Bannis, I want to send your family. I want to say good night to you all.
All right.